The women got a pool, or got paid out from a pool of $30 million from the Women's World Cup. The men would draw from a pool of $400 million, okay? $400 million, $30 million. Why is that? It's because the Men's World Cup generates $6 billion in revenue. The Women's World Cup generates $131 million in revenue. If you want to talk about pay disparity, the Women's World Cup players get paid out 20% of the total revenue. The men get paid out 7%. As a percentage point, they are getting much more. The problem is, for anybody desiring equal pay, and by the way, I think equal pay is a ridiculous concept in and of itself. If the women generate more revenue, they should get paid more than the men.
All right, a couple of things. First of all, I'm very well aware of whose show this is and how I get on it. And if you want to stop me from talking, you all know all the ways to do it. So when you ask me a question, I'm going to answer the question, okay?
Okay, what's up, guys? So I'm sure many of you have noticed over the past decade or so, ESPN has gotten very political. What was once a program that many of us grew up watching to catch the previous night's sports highlights has transitioned into somewhat political debates within the sports world. Simply put, ESPN used to be scores, highlights, and discussions, but somewhere along the line, that all changed. The network that once lived by stick to sports started weighing in on politics, culture wars, and every hot-button issue under the sun. Some pundits became like activists, highlight reels came with lectures, and a lot of fans felt the network they grew up with just wasn't the same anymore. And no one saw this shift more clearly than the people inside the building. Last week, former ESPN host Sage Steele sat down with another former ESPN colleague, Cain, who's now at Fox News, and the two had a candid discussion about exactly when and how the worldwide leader went from Sports Center to seemingly social justice center. Anyways, here's that conversation on Sage Steele's podcast on YouTube.
When do you think ESPN turned? Because I have my ideas of when it kind of took that turn of, and it, kind of the point of no return, actually.
Well, when Trump was elected president the first time,
16.
It turned everything over, not just ESPN, everything. That's when CNN lost its mind. That's when everybody. And that's when so many personalities at ESPN, I don't think nobody, so for people that are not in media, you probably wonder how a lot of this stuff works. And it's not as coordinated or as top down as you might think. So I don't think the people that ran ESPN said, I want to be an anti-Trump or I want to be a left-wing sports network. I don't think they said that to themselves. I think they said, they came at it first. The first thing they did is hire a group of people that they considered to be smart and talented, and they were attracted to the intellectual side of it. And so now you've got those people in place, and then Donald Trump comes, and they're all liberal.
But real quick, who they believe are smart.
That's right.
And intellectual.
Yeah, and a lot of them are still there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. The decision makers and some of the people that they brought in. Yes. And so that's the point. It's so subjective.
The subjectivity.
Based on the leadership that you have in place.
Correct. That's right. So they didn't say, I want to make ESPN liberal. They didn't do that.
No, but that's what they believed. So therefore.
So the people they picked. So the people they picked to put in place were the ones that couldn't control it once Donald Trump became president. And then they start saying what they're saying on Twitter, on TV. They start stewing it. And I think the management of ESPN was like, gosh, I don't really want this, but you hired this, and this is what you're getting. And it's kind of hard to put the clamps on it.
And especially if those leaders agreed with it. What happened in my experience is that they then had a very hard time drawing that line. Because yes, this is the business side, keep your personal out of it. But wait, I actually agree with this what this person is saying or tweeting, and so I'm not going to discipline them for that because it falls in line with my values. Yeah, exactly, and that's so not what today is. But yeah,
but my story is they knew my POV, and I give them credit for platforming my POV.
Yes, and giving you your own show.
Yes. With you, they held you to a standard that they did not hold to all those other people, right? That's what we're talking about.
Yes,
and that reflects real hypocrisy, and it reflects their own bias at the decision maker level.
Yeah.
That you couldn't say the things that other people were saying, your counterparts on the other side of the opinion aisle.
Yeah, it's very simple, actually. That's the only reason I filed the lawsuit, you know.
Yeah.
I'd given my apologies. I was like, okay, I'll stay quiet. I'll never say anything again. And then I see them allowing everybody else to do it while they're actually on ESPN airwaves versus my stuff, which was always separate. Always, you know, I never tied ESPN how it turned. And to me, it was 2016 when I saw leadership doing on Twitter what they told us not to do, which was to get political. and crushing Donald Trump and screaming and crying and yelling that Hillary Clinton did not win the presidency and that she should have, and Russia and all these things. I'm like, wait. These are our bosses who told us to stay quiet. And I am, believe it or not, I'm a rule follower. I was like, whatever you say. And I thought, wait, they're the boss. What is this? And that's how it began. And then all hell broke loose, right?
Yeah.
And then when you have Jemele Hill going out and tweeting what she tweeted with no repercussions, and then eventually repercussions when she went the NFL route. But you can't, I always say this, I say it in parenting, I say it all the time, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube once it's out, especially because they agreed with all the sentiments that their liberal employees were saying. Yeah. So, and then 2020 hit, the summer of love.
Yeah.
And that was it.
Well, I was gone.
You were gone. But you're watching because you're a sports fan.
I left in...
you left in 2020.
Yeah, June of 2020.
So
I was there after George Floyd.
Yes, you were there, right? I mean, part of those discussions, were you still on First Take?
Well, COVID. So COVID hits in March.
And so then you guys are separated.
So we're separated. And at that point, I'm not doing a lot of First Take. I'm doing my radio show remotely. Mm-hmm. And I did do First Take a few times during COVID, and you're doing it through your computer.
Sure.
You're zooming in.
But don't you remember those conversations and how different the conversation was on First Take at that point? And it really turned from sports. Now, everything in the country did. Granted, it was a time that none of us had ever seen and hopefully never will again.
Yep.
And it took over everything, every conversation, which now leads to statues of George Floyd in Minneapolis, right? But it was such a confusing time because I think we were all, as sportscasters, trying to be very sensitive to what was happening and lives lost, et cetera, but then still going, what the heck is happening? And First Take, the show that you, I guess, weren't on as frequently, but certainly a radio show. I mean, you had to talk about these things, didn't you?
All day, because there's no sports happening either. So what are we talking about?
Sports stories.
Literally, there was no sports.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm proud. So that content that I did then, that's some of the most proud content I am of stuff.
Why?
Oh, I took callers. I had debates over race. We had debates over policing. We had real conversations that America needed to be having at that time. And I've always loved those real conversations. I've loved, a black caller into the Will Cain show that says, you don't get it. You don't, and will explain it to me. But I've never been the guy that's like, I'm not into the lived experience thing. I'm not denying someone's lived experience, but it doesn't end the argument. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? When somebody says, well, I'm going to have a counterpoint and we're going to go back and forth. And there was this visceral nature to the relationship between me and the callers and me and the guests that would come in. That was just raw and real. And that's all I've ever hungered for, like raw, real, authentic stuff. Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's hard to do. I know that you thrive on it, like you love it, but live callers, that's dangerous.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
You're a sicko.
I love it.
What do you take from it?
Oh, I love the unpredictability, the spontaneity. I think sometimes they're hilarious. I think sometimes they make good points. Sometimes I slam dunk on them. It's just who knows what's going to come out of the chocolate box. It's great.